Hello and welcome to Fantasy Geeks. You join me for the first in a series of videos I'm going to be doing. As you can see in front of you, you've got Vulcan. There he is. I'm almost covered in paint, so I apologise for that. But there is Vulcan, and what we're doing is we're going to build the Salamanders army for Horus Heresy. And the last army I built for Horus Heresy was the Death Guard. That was before I even started doing my channel, so there's no record of that, it was just the final product. So I thought what I'd do, I'd keep a record as I'm going along. And it might also sort of like give me some impetus to get the project finished, yeah, going on. So there's Vulcan, Primarch. As a side note, he won't actually be in the army unless I decide to do a version where he's in the army.
But it might inspire you to paint him though, because you've had him a while.
And I do want to paint him.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to start building the army, because you can see before you all the Salamanders I have, no, apart from Vulcan. So we're going to start, the initial idea is to make a 2,000 point army of Salamanders, and then add on to it probably some vehicles and stuff like that. So I'm going to start by doing what will be the troops for the army. They're actually the elite, because I'm probably going to be using the Pride of the Legion, which is from the first Betrayal book. It's one of the basic rights of war, but it just allows you to take elite veteran tactical squads and Terminator squads as troops. With the offset that if they all die, the enemy gets an extra victory point. There we go. It's because I wanted a small compact force of Salamanders, so they're easier to sort of mix in with Raven Guard and Iron Hands later on to make like a Survivors of the Drop Site Massacre kind of thing going on. So what we've got some of the Forge World shoulder pads. Those are Mark IV. We've got some Mark III, because we're going to mix up some of the models. I've got one set of bodies, because Forge World stuff's expensive, and even though they all look really cool, if you've got every model in your army one of the Salamanders bodies, there's actually only 5 different ones, and if they've got the guns in front of them you can't really see them that well. So I've decided just to use these on characters, so there's 5 of them. I'm not going to use the Salamanders heads. I'm not a big fan of this. This one part of the Salamanders add-on I'm not a fan of is like the flames on the grills. So I don't think it's all that good, but I've seen people play it really well, but not for me. We've got some multi-melters there, and I've also got some heavy flamers there. We have 2 sets of the Mark III armour from the Burning of Prospero, and I've got 1 set of Mark IV armour from Cal, or you can buy these individual box sets now. I don't know when this video is going to go up, so maybe you can buy these in individual box sets, but at the moment it's just from Prospero. So, this isn't really an unboxing video, it's just more of a progress video. But if I get anything I can unbox and show you, like the weapons for instance, I'll do that. So I'm going to open all these up and have a good look at them first. I think we'll start with the heavy ones. Okay, so I'm going to use some scissors to open up these Forge packages. Watch out for shrapnel.
Ah, my eye!
There we go. Those are the flamers.
Cool.
I think they look really cool actually. Backpacks to replace the standard ones. Fuel tanks on. And fuel pipes. Obviously these being resin, they've got to be bent into shape. So if I get a chance I'll show you that on there, but that's those ones. So you get 5 of them in the pack to make a 5-man heavy flamer squad. Or you just use them to distribute about your army as you see fit. Next up we'll have a look at the multi-melters, which are very similar.
Ah, my other eye!
Dear Lord. There we go.
Hold on the floor.
Yep. So we've got the same pipes, I think. I think they're identical for bending around. The backpack's different. They've got the melter stuff on. They look cool. And then we have the melter guns themselves. There they are. We've gone for the underslung ones. I just like them. I think for the Salamanders, I think they'll look really good with the heavier armour, and then you've got these underslung weapons.
Yeah.
Cool. So we've also got the Salamanders shoulder pads. So have a quick look at them. So these are the Mark III ones. There you go. So exactly, it's just Mark III shoulder pad with the Salamander symbol on. Got to get out. And we also have some Mark IV for mixing it up. And there's Mark IV ones. There we have the bodies themselves.
So what's the difference between the Mark III and the Mark IV? Is it a noticeable difference, or...?
Yeah.
Right.
The rims.
The rims?
Yeah.
Right.
Much bulkier on the Mark III. There is the Mark III chest plate armour. So, you know, it is Mark III. If you buy the upgrade kit, you get Mark IV shoulder pads with it. So you don't get the Mark III shoulder pads and the Mark III bodies. Right. Which is a bit weird. They might change that now that Prospero's come out, but there you go. So those ones are going to be used for sergeants, characters, stuff like that. So basically we're going to start with 2 5-man veteran squads. And so I'm just going to mix up the different armours. If you want to see us put these together in more detail, you can go and watch the Prospero box set we've got. The Mark IV armour is a lot more straightforward. It's a lot more like the original Space Marine sprue, in the respect that all the legs are together to start with. So there's no need to sort of try and match them up with each other. So basically I'm just going to go through these and make the first squad up. And there's no need to really sit here and show you all that because you'll have seen it a million times before. So we will be back once that's together. So as an example of what we're doing, here we have the sergeant for one of the squads, the first of the veteran squads. We've got the Forge World style body for the Mark III armour, Mark III plastic and Mark III Forge World shoulder pads. We've got a thunder hammer, we've got bolt gun, we've got the rest of it's Mark III apart from the legs. We've gone for Mark IV legs with little studs on because I think they look cool. So this will be the first sergeant, so we'll put all this together, we can have a look at him. There we go. Cool. The first official salamander for Horus Heresy.
Yay!
I need to think of names for these dudes as well. Very salamandery names.
Bob.
That was what film. I was going to say that.
Bobski.
Yeah, there we go. Traditional sort of salamander weapon of a giant hammer. I do like these bodies, by the way. I can see why someone would care their entire army in these, but a bit expensive. Anyway. So that's the sergeant done. So we'll do the rest of the squad. There's going to be, it's a veteran squad, so we can have a melter gun in there, and the rest of the guys just can have bolt guns. So we'll build that and then we'll come back. Okay. So there's the first veteran tactical squad completed. So the idea of mixing up the armour is you can either view it as like the highly customisable nature of salamanders, where they basically build their own kit, put it together, rebuild it, add their own little embellishments on, or after Estevan, where they're using whatever they can find, and I've had to take stuff off their fallen comrades and stuff like that. So those are the two versions of it. As I said, it'll be used for Pride of the Legion normally. That's why the veteran squads are troops. I think the other one that does that is the Primarch Rite of War, and also the After Estevan Rite of War also takes veteran squads as troops, I believe. So I haven't got book 6, that's what I've heard. So I'm taking that one on, what I've heard. So when I do an After Estevan version with Raven Guard in there as well, obviously they'll be having tactical veteran squads or whatever else. But these guys can easily fit into those three sort of army types that I'm looking at. So there's going to be another squad like this. I think I'll give him a Power Fist sergeant instead, just for a bit of variation. And then we've got Terminators. It's going to just be the standard Terminators, there's no Forge World parts in that, so I'll not go through that again. If you want to see Terminators, Tartaros ones, put together, you can have a look at the Prospero again. The only difference will be they'll be giving them a heavy flamer as opposed to the Reaper Assault Cannon, Autocannon even. And then we'll move on to the heavy weapon squads. So we'll see you again when we get to heavy weapon squads, and I can show you the Forge World weapons for that. Okay, so let's quickly, there's the second veteran squad. Again, mix up the armour. Sergeant's got Power Fist and a combi weapon with a melter gun on it, and we've got a melter gun in the squad as well. And I've put the Vexilia on this time. I forgot to do that on the first squad, so I went back and picked one and put a little Vexilia on. So we will now move on to, what do you think? Should we do the Terminators and then show the squad?
Yeah.
Put the Terminators together, then we'll be back. So there are the Terminators done. They are just Tartaros Terminators from Prospero set. They're all got lightning claws. Obviously the Sergeant's got the grenade harness. There's a master crafted because he's a salamander, he can. Actually we went back to the army list for this, the army last night, and these guys were originally meant just to have guns and chain fists, and one of them's going to have a heavy flamer, etc. But they were kind of competing a little bit with where I'm going to have the fire direct Terminators, because they are armed with thunder hammers and shields. So there is a little bit of competition. So I wanted these guys to be a bit different, so I've armed them all with lightning claws. So there we go. So they're done. That's another elite but troops in this army, if we're using Pride of the Legion. I don't know if they count as troops in the other versions. I think it's just the veteran tactical squads that count as troops, so these will be elites otherwise. But we're not that heavy on elites, so it doesn't really make much difference either way. So now we'll move on to the next squad, which is the first of the heavy weapon squads, the ones with the multi-melters. Okay. First thing I've done, I've got 5 bodies like this and stuck the arm on, and we've got the accompanying arm there. So something I should say about resin is, if you get resin stuff, always give it a wash first in some soapy water. Very liquid works quite well. I've got that on commission for anybody, but soapy water just to wash off any of the resin, sort of mould stuff they put on to bring out the moulds.
Oh,
there's oil on it as well.
Yeah.
I think it's oil mainly. I've seen dust on them sometimes though. So we have a multi-melter. So what we're going to do is affix that. So the best way to do this is stick these two parts together, because we're using 2 different types of glue. You're going to need to use super glue for the resin and plastic glue for the plastic. So what you want to do, and I don't know if I can do this on camera because it's a bit fiddly, but the best way to do this I've found is to put that bit on there, because that's where you're going to be holding it. Put the glue, the plastic glue only, onto there, and then line it up and hold that until it is set. And then you'll end up with the one I did earlier, like that. So you can see the multi-melter is not actually attached, but it is in place. So now I'm going to glue that bit on, and then I'm also going to glue on one of the backpacks, and then I've done one of these. We're going to end up with something like that. That is obviously the Sergeant, because he's got a resin body, but you'll end up at this situation here. So I'm going to get all 5 of them to this situation, and then we're going to attach the wires which go from the multi-melter to the backpack, and there's 3 little wires. You see there, 1 large one and 2 small cables. It's a wireless cable. And if you look on there, there is a 3-point attachment there and a 3-point attachment there. It's a very long cable, so I don't know if they've just made it longer in case it breaks off or anything like that, but we're going to just attempt to bend the whole thing around and see what it looks like. I might have to shorten it down, I don't know yet. We'll see as we go. But I'm going to get them all to this stage, and then we will start putting the cables on. Okay, so what we're hoping to achieve is something along these lines. There we go. The cable is very long. I had to cut off the 2 end parts, which are the smallest parts, that part there and that part there. It took a lot of fiddling though. So these do fit in really well, but then having to cut it off meant that it didn't fit anymore. But by the time I'd done that, there was that much glue on this thing anyway. It didn't matter as much. So you can see there, it is just the right length for not trailing on the ground. But only just. You don't want to cut it any shorter, I don't think, because it'd be harder to bend the shorter you cut it. and I get it in position as best you can first before you cut the ends off as well, because it gives you a bit more area to bend with. You can see there the connection there and the connection there. Where the connection is, it bends towards the hardest part to bend. So you're bending into this largest of the cables, and you're also twisting around. It's a really faffy, twisty action. It's one of the faffiest things I've had to do, and there's no real way to show you because it was very much like trial and error positioning.
Yeah.
But the way I did it, I used this bowl here filled with hot water. It was hot at the time. It's freezing now. That's all it's been there. And you literally just soak this in here for a good 5 minutes in hot water, and it makes it a bit easier to bend. But I had to keep going back into the water to bend it as I was going along. So what you can do, what I'm thinking of doing, is we're at this stage here with one of these bodies, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a drill bit into there and a drill bit into there, and we're going to see if I can secure one of these ends and then bend it around. So I'll be back in a second to see if that was successful. If it isn't, I'll let you know. I'll go back to doing it the way I did in the first place. Okay, so we'll see how good this goes. We have pinned that onto there, and we have some fresh water. Now we're going to put that into the hot water. And probably a mistake doing this on camera, but we'll find out. Okay, it's beginning to bend now. Okay, so I'm just going to move this away from the camera and bend this round really quickly before it sets. And okay, so we're at this stage now. We've managed to bend it around that far. It's going to need some more bending to get it into place. I've also managed to pull the pin out a little bit. It did hold it in place, so it kind of did the job. You see I've just put the glue actually came off. I think it was the heat off the water, but it kind of held it in place while I bent it around. So we're halfway there. So I'm going to glue this back on, let it set, and I'm going to put it back in hot water again and bend it the full way. Fingers crossed, I'll be back and it'll be okay. So after the second bending, we are at this place. We're almost pretty much connected to that now. But as I said, to make sure, I haven't checked this yet, probably more, that this will fit. So bear in mind that is literally just the same height almost as those feet, so there isn't much play. It might be worth me actually cutting this last bit off and then bending it into place, just so it lifts it up a little bit. It's a shame really because it fits in really well otherwise to the connection, but it just seems to be just a tad too long. But it does help being longer to bend it, so I'll see if I can fit that on, otherwise I'll have to cut this end bit off. But the pin has helped, that has been a lot quicker. That's been like a quarter of the time to get it to this stage, rather than just trying to bend the thing. At least I've got a point to hold on to there. So there we go. So I'll be back in a second and see if I can get this bit on. Okay, so there we go. We've just cut that end bit off. Connection is just made. It looks okay actually. There is a couple of bits on there, only film and green stuff, that bit there, a little bit around there. There's actually a little air pocket in the wire as well, if you can find it. Going to need some liquid green stuff in there. There we go. You see that on there. There we go. Yeah, it's just a little defect in the resin. It's not too bad, this resin. That's one of the few that I've actually seen. So I'm doing pretty well so far, I think. So I've got 3 more of those guys to put together. I'm probably going to do it the same way as that one because it was a lot quicker. And I had to lose a lot less of the actual cable. But there we go. So I'll put the other 3 together, finish them off and come back with the squad done. So there's the squad finished all together. The last 3 It actually took no time at all, because I did them all at the same time with really hot water, bent them round, and then let them set, and then bent them round again. So it literally took the same amount of time to do the last three as it did to take the last one that I did. The pinning thing works really well because it holds them in place. Even if it comes unstuck, it still holds it in place if you pins long enough. So that was really good actually. So I'm quite happy with them, and they look really cool. So next we will do the Tactical Support Squad, which is a squad that basically is like almost like the little brothers of these guys, because they're all armed with melted guns. So we'll do them next. They're just normal guys with melted guns. So I'll just show you the squad finished. So there we go. That is the support squad, all armed with melted guns. Looks pretty cool. The guy in the middle's got a resin melted gun, which is left over from my Death Guard. Could have got some for them. They've actually got a squad which is exactly the same makeup as this, apart from I think the Sergeant's got a power fist. Is he? I can't remember now.
I think
Let's dig them out. I've not seen them in a while. But yeah, there we go. So that's that squad. So we're going to move on to the final squad now, which is the Heavy Flamer squad. So yeah, these are the parts again. Just a recap, because these cables are different from the other ones. They've got two connections. The connector on the there we go. Got the connector on there, which is actually in the back, and the connector on the guns is on the top. Oh, sorry, the bottom there. That was the top for a second. So I'm going to cut all these off, clean them up, give them a bit of a soak, and then I'll be back, and I'll probably do it like I did with the multi-melters. I'll see you in a second. So the first thing I've done, I've taken the backpack and I've drilled a hole in there. Hopefully you can see that. And then I've taken the wire, I've drilled a hole in that. I've actually put a little bit of brass rod in there, as you can see. And that is just so I can make it a stronger connection between those two, so that'll help again when it gets bent into position, hopefully. Plus this should be a bit easier to bend because it's only a 2 cable as opposed to 3 cable. It's not stick, it's actually quite bendy now, so I'm a bit more worried about breaking these, but probably a bit easier to bend. But we'll find out, I'll let you know at the end if it was or not. So I've done that. Next stage was to then, again like I did the first time, is get the body like that, get the arm and the weapon like that, so that's glued on and tight, and then we do the plastic glue on that, get that in position, and then glue the gun on with super glue, which brings us to the next stage, which is here, where that is attached quite happily. There's a bit of positioning issues with the different kinds of arms in the Mark III and Mark IV. It was the same with the multi-melters as well. The Mark IV ones do fit better. I think they've been designed around that. The Mark IIIs do fit, they're quite snug. The biggest problems I've had was getting the Mark III around some of the resin torsos, surprisingly enough, because they look the same as the plastic ones, but they've got all the extra stuff on it. So once we've got those two together, we're going to stick backpack on, which brings us to this stage, where this bit is stuck out, and then we're going to be ready, once we're all like this, to start bending those wires around like we did with the multi-melters. So I will be back. I'll not show you that again unless there's any issues or problems in between. And there's the Heavy Flamers finished. Looking pretty cool actually. Really easy to put the pipes on, the cables. They're just easily sort of bent around, these ones. Just be aware of like them hitting the legs and stuff. They are very long. You could get away with shortening them if you thought they were too long actually. You cut them off to about there really, that first thing, and pull them really tight. You get away with that easily. But I said I'd wait until you've actually bent into shape to do that and pull it round, because that extra sort of length helps you pull it round. That's great. There we go. They're done. So I'll just show you all the miniatures we've put together in this video together, as we normally do. There we go. There's everything we've put together today, and obviously overseen by Vulcan. So he'll be the HQ choice in, I can't remember which version of the Right of War is. I keep meaning to look it up and I keep forgetting. But the one where you can take a Primarch. Other than that, I'll need to convert a leader model. I'm probably going to use Vulcan Heistan as a starting point, and maybe give him a shield and a hammer. Something salamandery anyway. Get rid of the spear off him and give him a hammer probably. But I want to use his body because it's so awesome. It's got the mantles like the Elder Drake on it already. and a lot of other stuff. If you've not seen the model, go and have a look at it. I'm going to get that model. Probably not use the backpack because it's a bit flimsy. The one I've seen, and I'm not sure on that. I'll probably make my own backpack up and different weapons. There we go. So this is phase 1 of my salamanders. They are together, which is always a good start. So next, it'll either be painting these or getting some more models. Some more models I want in the army list will be the fire drakes and the pyroclasts, and I think probably a Leviathan class dreadnought as well, just for fun.
But you're writing to Santa for those, aren't you?
Might write to Santa for those and see what we get. So there we go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I mean, we've put it together. It'll probably be a project mainly for 2017, because it's December now. So, it's near Christmas. So Santa might bring me some more. So this will be my first big sort of Horus Heresy project since my Death Guard, really.
Yeah.
It's been a while. And I'll probably not make them as big as my Death Guard because my Death Guard army is pretty large.
Yeah, they've taken over the whole entire house.
They have. But now they go the Salamanders to contest them. So there we go.
And World Eaters. And
the World Eaters are hidden in the cabinet.
Yeah.
On display. It's when you come around to do your Empress Children. So we are going to do another video of your Empress Children. So you're starting your army as well for Horus Heresy. So cool. So stay tuned for that and anything else we're doing as well.
Yeah.
So see you later, guys. And please like and subscribe. Helps out loads.
Thanks for watching.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.